Yo, what's up guys? This is Rise and welcome to another video. I have a full breakdown for you from my Orlando top 5 run this weekend. There were 122 competitors. I ended up finishing in the top 5 and they gave me a lot of screen time, which is kind of cool. I know a lot of people go to these regionals and one of their goals is just hoping they could possibly get on stream. So they put 4 of my first 6 matches on stream, and then I made day 2, and all the day 2 matches are on stream. So I had 6 total matches on stream. I had some really epic wins and some really nice plays, and I also had a really funny, such a bad misplay that if you haven't seen it yet, I'm sure you might get a laugh out of it. It was a tough loss for me, but hopefully it's something I learned from and won't make the same mistake again. But a pretty funny, pretty weird, pretty crazy misplay to throw one of my games in the end. This is a bit of a casual, slower recap that I did on my Twitch stream, and I chopped it up for you folks on YouTube. So it's a bit of a slower paced. I'm kind of interacting with chat a little bit during this video at the time, and it's not going to be like super fast-paced commentary. It's a lot of me breaking down my thoughts, me breaking down what was going on behind the scenes, what was happening during the game, and that sort of thing. So a casual, long, sit back, grab a snack, put it on in the background type video, and I hope you guys enjoy. Fast forward to the battle, and this first battle is pretty dang RPS. I lead Trev into Medi, safe swap A9, met by Registeel. This is one of those battles that the chat... This is one of those battles that the chat is instantly saying is over because it's RPS. And most of the time chat's wrong. In this case, chat is kind of right. This is straight RPS. Chat says every battle is like RPS as soon as they see a lead, which isn't always the case, but in this case, it's kind of like triple hard countered. What's up, Hakuna Matata? All the way from Germany. Yo, what's up, Frank? Yeah, I expect to get a lot of those messages, especially from the youngsters. But it was a funny moment. So this is pretty straightforward, right? We take out the Medi here, or Zap Cannon it. She's going to get a nice farm. And I'm seeing if I can get to the Zap, and she wisely, with her counts, throws the Ice Punch before I could get to my Zap. So nice counting, or a nice feel there from Lynn. Takes out the Reggie without having to commit a shield there. And if it was pretty much anything but Umbreon or Noctowl in the back, she might have had a chance here. But this is just pretty much straight hard countered in game 1. And really no play to be made. So we'll even fast forward a little bit. Strategy was going to be like swap the Reggie to lure out the Trev. There's no Trev on her team, and I'm double weak to this G-Fizz, so probably not the best line by me. But I decide to swap the Reggie. And she wisely stays in. And this should be a CMP tie here. It wasn't, I guess. I shield the Earthquake. And yeah, she didn't quite build up to the Earthquake here, so I knew that was just a Rock Slide. Then she swaps Medi. Gonna throw the Zap Cannon here. No attack drop, unfortunately. Now I probably should have preserved the Noctowl, but this is where Lynn catches me off guard with a Dynamic Punch and knocks me out, so I don't get off the Zap. And here's what I'm thinking at this point is, okay, we've seen G-Fisk, Medi, I'm thinking like, maybe it's like a Trev in the back. Maybe it's like a Trev in the back as like an answer to my Medi in case I led Medi. So what I decided to do here, especially after she revealed Dynamic Punch, is I think I decide to counter down with my Medi to build up a bunch of energy in case it's a Trev. And then Noctowl can kind of sweep. So I come in with the Medi, but as you can see, she has a Lantern in the back. And then Lantern comes in, which is kind of good for me because Noctowl can at least hold its own against G-Fisk, but not quite Lantern. So I'm going to go for a second Dynamic Punch here. The awkward thing is Lantern can live this. And now it's like, what do I shield, you know? It's like, what do I shield? Probably should have shielded this. This would have done a lot more than a Rock Slide. And she gets to a Surf as well. And at this point, I'm like, oh god. I just got to put it all on Medi, I guess. She comes in with the G-Fisk. And she's in a pretty good spot here. Just because our Medi is so low. And Lynn going for the Earthquake. I think Rock Slide would have been enough from here, so I kind of just conceded. Earthquakes me. And takes me down in game 2. Very well played. I practiced maybe like a week or so worth of scrims with this team. Just like doing a few scrims with buddies every single night. And I did like to lead Medi just as like a pretty neutral lead against most teams, because even in some of its bad matchups, like against Noctowl, for example, you can win the zeros. So this was a lineup that I practiced with a little bit, like a pretty standard lineup: Medi, Reggie, Trev, because even if I lead against like a Noctowl, I can just sack the Medi and then Trev goes to town and back. And if we look at her line, as long as I maintain switch, I should be okay. So that's kind of the goal here, is just to win alignment against the Lantern, which isn't the easiest. Because this is a very neutral matchup. Am I doing my sets today, RTS? Maybe after the recap, so it probably won't be a while before I do my sets. Or it will be a while before I do my sets, I should say. So I take the first Surf. I CMP her on the second Surf. But I know this is a Surf, right? So I actually don't even necessarily need to shield the Surf. I land the DP. And once again, I know I can take this. And Lynn goes for an aggressive swap on Trev, perhaps trying to catch the Dynamic Punch. But I throw the Ice Punch instead. She's going to shield it up. And I'm going to go with my own Trev. And at this point, we're in a pretty good situation. Lynn goes directly for the Shadow Ball, which is aggressive. I'm going to shield it just in case. I know I need to get rid of this Trev for my Reggie. I'm hoping Seed Bomb is enough here. I wasn't 100% sure this would quite KO. Yo, Frank. Yeah, we just go for the Shadow Ball here. Only gonna get to one move, right? pretty comfortable situation now. Up a shield. Ninetales does have energy, but we've got a fully healthy Reggie still. So we're just going to come in here. Tank all the energy. Frank, we'll get to the infamous Noctowl mishap at the end, since that was the final match of my run. And we'll have a good laugh about it. But yeah, I swap here. It's like a pretty riskless catch, right? Because I don't know if she can even spark down before I counter down. So even though I catch the surf, she kind of has to throw it anyway. And I just, yeah, like Speedy just said there, I don't want to take any surf damage from the lantern. So I just focus blast it because I know Ninetales isn't really much of a threat here. And we should be in a good spot. I don't know why I zapped. I probably should have just blasted. It's less energy. I guess in case it like doesn't KO or something, I debuff it. But we get the win against Lynn. Very well played. She took me down in game 2, outplayed me, and it came down to game 3. And apologies for Lynn for not giving her a hug after the game. So we go up there like after this battle, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, wait, did you beat Trent? Because I hadn't like checked the bracket in a few minutes. And he's like, yeah, I beat Trent. I was so nervous. And he was like freaking out. He was like all excited just to be there, just to get on stream. But obviously, if he 2-0'd Trent, he's got to be a really solid battler. But here we go. If we look at his team comp, my Azu looks really strong. Azu was a little bit hit or miss against people's teams. Against some teams, it didn't have much play. But against GFisk teams especially, it was usually really good. Because against GFisk teams, usually Trev was the only answer. And even against Trev, Azu has that Ice Beam coverage, at least with my moveset. So Azu looked really strong. I feel like it was probably my safest lead. And yeah. So we went with Azu, Noctowl, Umbreon. Noctowl looks really solid as well. Only has to avoid GFisk and potentially Powder Snow on Ninetales. And then Umbreon as well looks quite safe if you look at my opponent's team. Really only afraid of Medicham and Ninetales. And those matchups aren't even that bad if it's not Charm. So as soon as I see Powder Snow, I know this is a pretty good lead for me. I am a little bit concerned about a potential GFisk in back, so I debated whether I wanted to shield this. I shielded at the last second, and it is a Gleam, so that's good for me. And I throw the Ice Beam here to avoid having to take another Gleam. He actually commits a shield, which surprised me a little bit. He stores the energy and goes Medi. This is kind of questionable by me. Probably should have just went straight knock, but I play rough first. And I catch a Psychic, I think. I think that was a catch. Unless he just decided to throw the Psychic. And I'm just going to throw this because I know he's about to reach the Ice Punch. So I'm probably only going to get off one move here. I don't want to commit a shield here. So I'm just going to throw the higher damage move. Bang. I should live this, but it might end up being like a simul KO. And Noctowl actually preserves switch advantage for us, so that's pretty good. He's going for a bold mud shot down with GFisk. I commit to the Shadow Ball, and I get off the Shadow Ball with Noctowl here for some nice chip damage. We come here with Umbreon. I thought, yeah, he didn't build up to the Earthquake there. He didn't build up to the Earthquake, so I'm able to call it. Maybe he was expecting me to come in with Azu. Maybe that's what it was. Now he's going for the Earthquake, and I feel like I'm better off saving the shield for Azu in this situation, because Azu's still fairly healthy. He combo plays me here, but once again, I feel like I'm better off just saving my shield for Azu to close this out. I'm going to swap it in here. I know this has to be a Weather Ball, so I'm going to let this go. That is correct, Mr. Onion Frank. And then obviously just going to go for the Ice Beam here straight away. Should be enough to knock out the G-Fisk. And we get the win here in game 1 of match number 3. And I catch a pretty bad lead. Noctowl into A9. So what I thought is if this presented itself, I think I was actually going to swap in Reggie. Just because I feel like Reggie's safe swap can present some more problems for him than Azu safe swap. I feel like Azu safe swap, especially if he brings the Trev, could be a little bit easier for him to manage. So I decide to go with the Reggie safe swap. And he swaps the G-Fisk, but I am ahead on energy here. I heard, Frank. It's going to be pretty stacked for a smaller tournament. Let's skip to your battles. We're just covering mine. We're just covering mine. Because they had me on stream 4 times on day 1. I appreciate it. I didn't want to reveal my Dynamic Punch Medi until later, but they made me reveal it against Lin in match number 2. He's going to shield to try and retain Switch. If I can somehow win Switch here, that'd be pretty good for me. I'm really thinking about whether I want to bother shielding this or not. I do shield at the last second, which is kind of questionable. Oh, and I was way off. Wow. So there you see my counting being way off. So he was still 1 mud shot away when I tried to catch. That's really bad by me. Otherwise, I might have been successful there because it looked like he was kind of tapping on it, right? I shield the EQ. Yeah, he's tapping right on it. Oh, man. So, huge misplay by me on the catch attempt. And you see me scratching my head. I'm in a pretty bad situation here. I let him store the Earthquake. This is not looking good. I go for the Sky Attack here, and I purposely over-farmed into the Sky Attack because I felt like if he gets greedy, I could potentially get to another Sky Attack. And he goes for a full farm down here, and I reach another Sky Attack, and this is a misplay by my opponent, in my opinion. Because I get the last shield now, and I can either tank this on Reggie or just throw my move on Reggie. I decided to just throw my move on Reggie to eliminate this energy. So he doesn't get any chip damage off. I come in, and he actually came in with the Trev, which surprised me. So there you saw, I take this out. I'm expecting him to come in and Earthquake me. So I swap my Azu. He actually came in with the Trev instead. He goes for the Seed Bomb. Remember, the G-Fisk still has a move loaded. He swaps, and he goes for the Rock Slide. I'm not sure why. Maybe this is a misclick. Who would misclick the wrong charge move upon swapping in a Pokemon? I don't know. I don't know who would possibly do such a thing. But for some reason, he throws the Rock Slide. I guess maybe he thought he could get to 2. And then we get off the Ice Beam here. But, like, imagine if he lands that Earthquake. If he gets that off that Earthquake, he can definitely farm down our Azu here. But he loses track of energy, and we get to a second Ice Beam. So, a bit of a misplay by our opponent in game number 2, but we danced around a little bit. We were a little bit tricky, and we were able to sneak away with a win. He was definitely nervous. He was like very excited and hyped up just to be there, and we snuck away with a win that time. So that was our round 3. We end up playing Bulk in round number 4 off stream, and Bulk, if you're unfamiliar, is just a sensational battler from the Chicago area. And I should talk about what happened. So I was able to win game 1 against Bulk. Game 2 was extremely close. Basically, what ended up happening was it came down to lock-ons versus counters. Bulk took out my Azumarill with his Medicham. He had a very low health Medi, and I had a very low health Registeel. And from my perspective, it appeared I lagged a turn. So I got 3 lock-ons for his 2 counters. So theoretically, I should get 4 lock-ons for 2 counters. Both of those equating to 4 turns. And I told him I was going to take a look at the replay. And when you look at the replay, you only see 3 lock-ons register for the 2 counters. And then his Medicham survives with 1 HP to win the game. So I told him I'd like the judges to get a second look at it, because I feel like if the game functioned properly, it would have been a tie. So I got the judges to come over. The first judge looked at it. I explained to him what was going on. He was like, let me get a second opinion. He brought it over to Dejan. Dejan looked at it for a while, and it was like, I think you're right. I think you only got 3 lock-ons. Let me get another judge. And then he brought it to Pete, and then Pete looked at it for a while. And after like 10 minutes of 3 judges talking it over, they ended up saying, so Rise, Medicham has enough HP where 1 lock-on isn't always going to visibly show on the health bar. So although it looks like you got 3 lock-ons only for what should have been 4, it's possible that 1 lock-on didn't show visually, because lock-on's only doing 1 damage. So if you have like 141 health on a Pokemon, not every lock-on is actually going to be visible to the naked eye. So because of that, we can't afford you the rematch. So I was like, okay, like that makes sense. But I think it's a good example, like in these tournaments, it's just obviously have some sportsmanship. Don't dispute over every tiny little thing, but I'm going to dispute if I feel like it changed the outcome of the match, right? And I felt like it changed the outcome of the match, so I disputed game 2, and it got the ruling on the field stood. And then game 3, I was able to win against Bulk in a very close game. So we go on to the winners finals against Bosox with Dunsparce and then Shadow A9, and then pretty meta outside of that. I also might have been a little bit too casual here, because I didn't really bother asking around. I think Jackson had been on stream before this, and I didn't bother asking around like if he had any particular movesets. So like I could have theoretically gone to people that watched his match and been like, hey, did he have any like movesets I should know? So I didn't do that. I just kind of went up there. So I wasn't positive if this was Charm or Powder Snow, and you can kind of see that by the line I run in game 1, because if I knew for sure that it was Charm, I wouldn't have probably risked running this game 1 line of Medi, Umbreon, Azu. If I had knew it was Charm, I But in my head, right, I knew it was possible it was Charm. So even if that was the case, worst case, I would see it in the lead, and I would just have to sacrifice my Medicham, farm down with Azu, and then go with Umbreon from there. But we catch a terrific lead here in game number 1. He instant swaps Noctowl, and I don't have like an obvious answer. So what I decide here is I'm going to Ice Punch and I'm going to dip. And in this moment right here, I'm thinking to myself, okay, should I swap into Azu or Umbreon? And I'm thinking, okay, well, if he has this Trevenant in the back, maybe I should make my face cam a little smaller so you can see his team better. If he has this Trevenant in the back and I swap in my Umbreon, the Trevenant might sweep my Azu in my Medicham. So I think I'm going to swap in Azu instead, because in case it's the Trev, I'm going to need the Umbreon. And in the moment, I really didn't even think about Charm 9 in the back. It wasn't even really on my radar, but it does make a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense with the line. So I come in here with Azu. And this is where the slowness of Azu is kind of tough. I don't know why that play button is there. Yo, play button. It's not supposed to stay there, is it? Whatever. We go for the Ice Beam. Could I have overfarmed more there, probably? Oh, yeah. I could have overfarmed by a lot. See me undercharge. But he shields anyway, I guess, so... Oh, Necro is casting this game. Cool. I let it go. I thought maybe I could get to an Ice Beam here, but I don't. So this is kind of rough. I don't really want to reveal my third Pokemon. I kind of want to see what he has in back. I do lag a turn here. But it's not a huge deal. Basically, the result of this lag is me taking one extra wing attack than I should have. I go for the DP, and I'm like, crap, this is not good. And this is bad. He just immediately swaps. But G-Fist just straight up beats Umbreon in most scenarios, so I know that this game is pretty much over. Obviously, I'm going to play it out and try my best. Mountain Dugong, usually not. I would say it's still sort of an inconsistency. But I'm one bubble away from Ice Beam, which is 3 turns. He was 2 wing attacks from fainting me, which is 4 turns. And usually it takes like a turn for that charge move. So usually you should not get off that move. I think the way the game's intended, they say you're supposed to get off the move, but normally people don't get off that move. Two bulky foes. Spamming off moves here. G-Fisk isn't quite in foul play range yet. And this is going to put me really low. And you see me here, I'm actually tapping the foul play right away. Because I figured after this Earthquake, he might try and quick swap into his Ninetales. But he doesn't. He stays in. And now he's going to swap. And one Charm will take me out. What's the spiciest pick I've ever brought to a regional? That's a good question. Probably Obstagoon. That's probably it. Probably makes me look like less huge, less tall, because he's like 6'6", 6'7". But we get a tough lead here into the Trev, and remember, he's got a Noctowl on his team, so I cannot really safe swap my own Trev. So I'm gonna go directly into my Noctowl, and he's gonna respond with G-Fisk. Of course, we've seen this matchup a multitude of times. Yo, what's up, Vish? Good to see you, dude. My Noctowl does not have the wing attack breakpoint, so this isn't a matchup I'm going to win realistically, but I could potentially force shields if I wanted to. And what I'm thinking here is like, okay, I'm probably not going to win this matchup, but maybe I can get it low. I can get a bubble down. I can get off a free Ice Beam against the Trev. Another Rock Slide. Really debating here whether I want a shield or not. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and I'm like, I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to go for the bubble down. And at this point, I realize he's going to reach the Earthquake. And I'm like, darn. But I feel like I'm better off taking it and putting it more on Trev. Gonna do one bubble and throw. See if he wants to commit a shield or not. And then this was kind of interesting. I do 2 bubbles. I wait and catch. And I'm like, but what if I need this health? So I make the beautiful catch, but I'm like, wait, well, what if I get fast moved down by, I don't know, like Alola Ninetales or something? So I was like, if it's Charm 9, I like kind of have to shield anyway. So I probably should have let that go. And you see me shaking my head. I'm in a pretty bad situation, but I'm going to play it out. And here's like a good example. I'll move my face cam for a sec. Here's a good example where like Twitch chat can be a little bit know-it-all, right? That's an example of being helpful in Twitch chat. Thank you very much. But you see everybody know, huh? Why? Like, catch a move and shield anyway? Like, everyone's like, Rise, that's such a terrible play. You're so bad at the game. Why would you do such a thing? Well, like, it's harder when you're the one on stream. You don't know what's in back. If it's an Alola Ninetales and I don't shield the Seed Bomb, I just get charmed down by everything. And I don't get a chance to use my shields anyway, so. But anyway, we're playing this out. I think he threw on alignment there, gave me a free claw. Gonna shield. Twitch chatters would have won this tournament. I built up a ton of energy here. He still has both of his shields. And I'm able to anticipate that he was going to throw right away here, since he knew that I had 2. So I catch the Rock Slide on Azu. He comes in with Trev. I get off my Ice Beam. This puts him in an awkward situation. And he commits the shield. So now Dunsparce has no shields. And I think he had to commit. I think he had to commit to the Shadow Claw down because he think he lives one more bubble there. It would have been close though. He gets off this Seed Bomb. I get the Claw through. And then I'm just going to do one in throw, and 2 seed bombs should be enough from this range. So I was pretty proud of that game. That was a tough win. It was Azu into Trev. We safe swap Noctowl. We're met by G-Fisk. And then we had our own Trev against Dunsparce in the back. But we were able to make a couple of catches and manage our energy pretty well and get the win. So that was probably the game I was most proud of this tournament. We lock in here. Winners finals. And it's a Trev Mir. And if you look at our back lines, his back line counters mine pretty well. And my thought process here, which is probably similar to his, is he has to lure something out. So for me, I wanted to lure out the G-Fisk with my Noctowl and set up Reggie. He probably wanted to lure out like a potential Medicham or something and set up G-Fisk. But unfortunately, as soon as this simul swap was made, we're kind of screwed. Because now he has like his preferred alignment. Really debating whether I wanted to shield here. I would have outpaced, actually. I would have outpaced if I shielded, I think, to the next sky attack. So I would have gotten a shield off him. Yo, Zone, thank you very much for the raid, man. If we have any mods in the chat, we get a shout out for Zone. We're gonna go for the lock on down. I catch on Trev, but here's the thing. What does this catch do for me? Like, yes, I caught a drill run on Trev, and this is something I preach sometimes when I do like coaching sessions, is like some players love to go for their catches, but like, what does this catch do for me? Because now I'm in like Shadow Claw down range for his Trev, and yeah. And that's what, and Speedy, yeah, Speedy, did catch what I was trying to do there, was potentially, like, swap and CMP the Dunsparce, but I think I was just a little bit off on my timing there. And now this is just really tough for our Reggie, because obviously we can't farm this down. So I understand I'm in a pretty bad situation here, unless it's maybe, like, A9 in the back. That might be like my only win con at this point. And you see me nod my head like, yeah, it's over. He's up a shield. I go for the Focus Blast just to play it out, but this should like nearly take out my Reggie, put it deep into the red if it doesn't KO. We get off the Focus Blast, but he shields, just the shield, and is going to secure this match for the Mud Shot down. And just really well played. Really well played. Just had some strong ABB lines. And just kind of out-team comped me. But There was play for me. There was play for me. Oh, did you see my anger there? Watch this. Watch this. Look at my anger. Wait. Look at that. Did you see that? I clapped. I clapped out of frustration. Did you see that? Boom. The clap. The clap of frustration. And he comes over. But I was really happy for Jackson, man. I've been able to hang out with him a bit. I hung out with him a bit in Seattle. And again, this past weekend. Really nice guy. Really down to earth. Quick spoiler alert. If you didn't watch the tournament and you don't know who ends up winning or qualifying, but cover your ears if you don't already know. But Bosox ended up qualifying. He got second place. And talking to him afterwards, he was saying how, like, a lot of his family members, like, sometimes they give him some crap, you know, like, oh, you spend too much time playing that game, like you should be spending more time on other things. And he's like, I enjoy this. And having his family, like, actually watching the stream and, like, seeing him on stage, it was, like, a really cool moment for him. And they were, like, all excited. And I mean, to some extent, it's kind of similar for me, right? Because, like, I was fortunate enough to win Milwaukee back in the day. And I would, like, tell my parents, like, oh, I won the Sylph tournament, or I did this, I did that. And to see it, like, actually see me, like, on stream and, like, people celebrating and stuff, it's definitely a different animal. So I was really happy for him. He's a cool guy, a down-to-earth guy. But we're not out of it yet. Noticed against his team, right, is I felt like he has to bring Bastiodon against me. I felt like he has to bring Bastiodon, because if you look at everything else, Knock, Swamp, Vic, Save, Medi, like, Noctowl either beats or is neutral against everything except for Basti. So basically my strategy was pretty simple. It was like Noctowl and 2 checks for Basti. I mean, Medi, Reggie are, like, my only legit checks for Basti, but Reggie also looks really good. As long as Reggie can avoid Shadow Swamp and or Medi, looks pretty good. Only other player I've played that ran this type of line was Onion Frank in Arlington. So I haven't played against this line too many times in, like, Show 6. But we catch an amazing lead here. He swaps in Medi. I'm going to swap in Trev. And I was never going to shield the first one, right? And I know that with his type of team comp, he might be running Power-Up Punch as well. So I wasn't necessarily calling the Power-Up Punch, but I knew that it was possible that he might go for Power-Up Punch. And I CMP here on the potential Ice Punch. And I know this could be an Ice Punch, but I was confident I live it. I didn't even know if he could even flip per se, but this does a little bit more than I anticipated. I'm only going to get to 1 move here, so I go for the Shadow Ball. And he's going to double shield for switch, but I know it probably has to be Basti in the back, right? I know it probably has to be Basti, granted the first 2 Pokemon. So I'm perfectly comfortable just coming in here with Knock and just 2-shielding my Registeel in the back. Because I know Registeel up shields can beat Sableye. So kind of straightforward. I do get the full wing attack down. I'm just looking at that top right corner. I come in Reggie. And at this point, I know I'm in a pretty comfortable situation. So yeah, pretty RPS, to be honest. Not a whole lot of ways I could have lost this game, like, realistically, right? Maybe if I, like, I don't know how I would have lost this game. I would have had to choose a different team comp. Or maybe thrown the wrong move. Wink, wink. But yeah, just going to go for the Focus Blast here. Should knock out from this range. That's a good point, Mountain Dugong, yeah. And I go for the Focus Blast here. And at this point, I think it was JR was telling me, like, he expected me to just, like, swap and throw the Shadow Ball here. But I, like, knew I outpaced. So in my head, I'm just like, I'll just stay in with Reggie and close it out. Either makes sense, right? Shadow Ball probably KOs from there. And I have a Shadow Ball loaded, but I'm close to the Focus Blast anyway, so I just go for the Focus Blast. Sorry, I was a little quick there. And I decide to bring the Medi this time. Game 1, he led Sableye. So I just intended him to mix it up, right? I didn't think he was going to lead Sableye again. And my Medi's pretty good against everything else, except for, like, I don't know. Noctowl. Vic isn't great. But I should have double Sky attacked. Oh my gosh. But we're in a mirror match, and he's already revealed his moveset, so I'm like, okay, this isn't that bad. And he goes straight for the pup here. Like, he doesn't even bother building to Ice Punch. He just goes straight pup. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, it might be like Sableye Basti in the back. And if it's Sableye Basti in the back, I need to win this matchup. I need to get Switch. Because even though Reggie can hold its own against Sableye, obviously Noctowl cannot hold its own against Basti. So if this is like Sableye Basti in the back, I feel like I still need to win Switch here. I don't know for sure if he knew I had DP, but probably. I mean, I had been on stream 3 times before this. I do correctly shield the Ice Punch here. Yo, what's up, Pokemon? So we're down a shield. I go for the Ice Punch. I don't know if CMP had been revealed up to this point. So I get a shield back. Remember, he's double boosted, so his counters are doing a little bit more. And I'm thinking, like, I think I need Switch here. I think I need Switch. Man. I might have been able to commit to the counter down there. It was really close. I feel like it might have been a simul KO. I think it might have been a simul KO. So, obviously, I could have thrown the Ice Punch, but honestly, like, a counter probably does just as much. And now he's staying in against Basti, and this is confusing me. In my head, I'm like, okay, he's probably going to try and catch my Focus Blast. That's what he's doing. He's probably going to try and catch my Focus Blast. So I throw it during his Smackdown. And he no-shields this, which definitely surprised me. But now I'm feeling pretty good. And he comes in with Knock. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'll just throw my Zap here. Because I get to Zap before Shadow Ball. And this is a little unnecessary, but like... What am I doing, actually? Why not just swap? Probably unnecessary there by me. I think I was going for the Shadow Ball catch. Also, Basti doesn't have any energy, so that's something worth noting. Basti doesn't have any energy, so as long as Reggie has a little bit of energy, we can outpace if need be. I'm going to overfarm here. And Basti's so low, I'm like, I can probably just wing attack this down. So I wing attack it down. Just going to go for a sky attack here right away. It's a CMP. And our knock is a little bit healthier than his knock. So we land it. His sky attack coming through. Yeah, Evan, I think you're right that a Simul would have been better, but once again, I didn't know his back line, so based off the back line, I think you're right, a Simul would have been better, but if it was like Sableye, then I wanted to win lead. So we get a 2-0 against Meteor Phalian. Yo, we know who to blame. We know who to blame for day 2. Look at this. Look at getting your ball. Rise Too Good just doesn't make mistakes. Rise Too Good just doesn't make mistakes. Get in your ball, bro. You jinxed me. You jinxed me getting your ball. And then here, I'm about to play Frostfire. So, in terms of preparation, I'm sure some of you guys are probably curious, like how I would prepare for day 2. Yo, what's up, Smurfy? Good to see you, dude. So I've been fortunate enough where I've made 3 consecutive top 8s now at regionals. And I used to get some like in Discords, people would like complain last season because I did 3 regionals. I did like, what did I do? Indianapolis, Vancouver, and then Milwaukee. And I remember because there was only like 4, including NAIC, people were like complaining like, yeah, if Rise keeps going to these regionals, of course he's going to win eventually. And like some of those same people that were making fun of me are now like have been to many more than I have. But I made my first top 8 in Milwaukee. I made day 2 at Worlds, but day 2 at Worlds was actually a top 12. So I don't know if you count that as day 2 because they ended the day early because things took so long. So like if we don't count Worlds as making day 2, with then Arlington and now Orlando, that would be my 3rd consecutive day 2. If we count Worlds, 4th consecutive day 2, which is pretty cool. Closing in on AXN's streak. He's been to what, 6 day 2s? Everyone he's competed, he's day 2. Crazy, dude. Crazy. You're kind of like, I don't know, maybe putting too much on your plate, maybe not dedicating enough time to like the one matchup you know you're actually gonna have. So I was a little bit nervous about Frostfire's team. The main reason was because I felt like Charizard and Lantern pretty much cover my entire team. Charizard beats Trev, Medi, Reggie pretty handedly. Lantern beats Azu, Noctowl pretty handedly. I didn't feel like Medi was very good against his team. Like if I don't encounter the G-Fisk or the Umbreon, I'm kind of screwed with Medi. And also, the one advantage I felt like I had in this matchup was my Umbreon was very safe. As long as Umbreon avoided Medi, Umbreon was pretty good everywhere else. I did 1 set of scrims against Pocket, literally like 2 battles. And I did 2 battles against Inadequates. That was my prep. And also, I messaged Vish in the chat, and he gave me like his thoughts on the matchup. So my game 1 strat was essentially Umbreon's my safest lead. I'm gonna lead Umbreon, and I'm gonna gang up on Trevenant. So I end up going with, because what I expected him to run was Lantern, Trevenant, Charizard. I just didn't necessarily know what order. So I did expect him to run is essentially like win lead, win game, win lead, line things up and back. However, I did look at this matchup the night before, or maybe the morning of, I forget. And I do know that Charizard wins this in the 2 straight Blast Burn. And here, you're actually going to... Sorry if I'm pausing a little bit too much, but I'm just kind of breaking down certain points. You're going to see me actually throw Dude, what is with these ads? Even if I'm like lying in bed. So you're going to see me actually throw on alignment on this first foul play. And the reason is, like, normally you would want to throw after 5 snarls here for proper timing, but I wanted to make sure I got off my foul play first because I don't want him to blast burn me and then swap out or something. And then, obviously, in this scenario with his back line, I guess that doesn't really make sense because if he swaps out, then I just, like, kind of RPS him. But I wanted to get this off before he could blast burn me. Yeah, I totally agree, last D. So he goes for the blast burn here. I'm going to respect it with a shield. I feel like it's unlikely he's going to bait Umbreon. Get off my foul play before his blast burn. And then this ends up being kind of crazy. What's about to happen? So he has it loaded. And here's what I was hoping. So I'm expecting him to do 1 and throw here. And people were asking me what I do here. And I was hoping 1 Shadow Claw would take out his Charizard. Looking at it now, I think it's pretty easy to decipher that's not 1 Shadow Claw range. I think Charizard definitely lives 1 Shadow Claw. But I was hoping 1 Shadow Claw would snipe his Charizard. It doesn't, but he is afraid of the snipe and wants to bank the blast burn and just swaps his Lantern. And then he realizes it. And I know Frostfire is planning on doing a stream with Kaiser tonight. So he'll probably explain what he was thinking there. But basically what he said to me was he was afraid I was going to snipe with like Azu, where 1 bubble would KO. So he saw the swap and just went Lantern. And yeah, now the Trev just has nowhere to go. So pretty comfortable game 1 win. And my thought process now after game 1 was like, if you look at Frostfire's perspective, his Charizard looks really dang good against my entire team. So, like, he thinks I have to bring Azu. So that was one reason that I didn't bring Azu game 1, just to be a little bit tricky. And now I'm going to bring it. And I think I've probably scared off the Trev after my game 1 line. I ran Noctowl and Umbreon. So I feel like I've probably scared off the Trev. So Azu's like a little bit safer. It's probably going to have 2 solid matchups and then only 1 bad matchup against Lantern if it can avoid the Lantern. I lead the Umbreon again, and this was concerning because G-Fisk beats Umbreon in pretty much every shield scenario. I think you have to shield Earthquakes, like, to flip it. Like, maybe if you shield 2 Earthquakes, you flip it. But I knew I probably needed Switch. What's up, Moo Moo, by the way? Good to see you. He's going to Earthquake here first. You know, like, Normally I would shield this, to be honest, but I didn't want to make it obvious. I didn't want to make it obvious that I was going to fight for Switch, I guess. I'll say that's what my thought process was. To be honest, sometimes you just kind of do things. I also CMP here. Like, this is so risky. Like, I could have just given him a free mud shot there. I take the EQ. I go for the foul play here on 3 right before the rock slide. He goes for a rock slide here. I know that I can do a snarl here. But I decided to just throw right away because I didn't want to take the chance of getting like sniped by something. So I shield, and now I'm down a shield, but I do have switch advantage. So Charizard gets 3 wing attacks, but I have the alignment that I need. He swaps, I swap, and we should be in a pretty good spot here. I'm just going to overfarm here as much as I can because I want to be able to threaten the Charizard with a Shadow Ball. So I farm up to a C-Bomb plus Shadow Ball. And then we just swap in Azu. And now it's essentially Charizard versus Azu in the ones. Charizard does have a head start. But we know Azu can live 1. I'm going to shield here. Look at original Zane in the chat. Water over fire. That is correct, Zane. Good analysis. And this was still very close. This literally came down to a wing attack still. So we get the win against Frostfire. And that is going to send us to the next round. Our teammate Shadow Brady was able to beat Shiny Hunter Ben here. And once again, I hadn't really prepped it all for anybody except for Frostfire. So I'm just kind of thinking of strats on the fly. I'm thinking like Noctowl Regicore looks pretty strong. With the exception of G-Fist kind of breaks that apart. So like, but I could like also soft lose Noctowl or Reggie against the G-Fisk, and then my other Pokemon would do pretty well. So that's like one thought I have in mind. My Trev looks really good. My Trev only really gets hard countered by Noctowl. And also I did watch his battle against Bosox guy so that I knew that his Azu was running Play Rough and Hydro Pump. So that also made my Trev like even better against his Azu. So game number 1, I have a tough lead into Reggie. But I'm going to swap my own Reggie here. And he, as you can see in the back, doesn't have a great answer, so he's just going to have to stay in. What happened with the lucky trade? We both got like pretty decent IVs, but not hundos. And this is also the infamous game for those that haven't seen it. This was the infamous click the wrong move. So we're just playing this outright. I know that I'm one turn behind, so I'm concerned I'm probably going to lose this matchup if we play it to the 2 shield. Oh, yeah, I tried to catch. But you know what? It's probably a good thing I didn't, actually. It's probably a good thing I didn't catch this on Trev. Because if I catch this on Trev, then he fully farms me down with knock. And then I might be in a bad spot. Well, I don't know. Because if he fully farms me down with knock, I still have my move on Reggie, so. And then check out this. Our Reggie actually wins switch. We were the Reggie that swapped in. And at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm like, okay, this is like best case scenario, considering that we led our Noctowl into a Reggie. So he does one wing attack. Obviously, we have to come in with knock here. We're behind a wing attack. And at this point, I feel like a catch from him is pretty predictable. So I'm not planning on throwing my Sky Attack right away. I'm anticipating he's probably going to catch. He does try and catch. I swap Trev. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty good. And I'm thinking like, okay, as long as I land a Seed Bomb on the Noctowl, that should put it into Sky Attack range. And I should be okay here. So I throw after 1. I'm on point with my counting here. I know I can do 4 before the Azu gets to the next one. And now I should have thrown the Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball does more raw damage against Noctowl than Seed Bomb. But in my head, right, I can simply just Seed Bomb and then go for Sky Attack. Because Seed Bomb will do enough to put it into Sky Attack range. And at this point, I start to panic. And I start to think, oh crap, wait. Thank you, Josh Wise, for the follow. I start to think like, oh crap, wait. So this happens within the span of about 3 seconds in my mind. I start to think, oh crap, wait. Which side is my Shadow Ball versus Sky Attack on? I forget. And then I'm like, okay, wait. Don't panic. You can wait a turn. And then you can throw your Sky Attack to see which side it's on. And then I start to think, wait, no. He's going to come out of this farm with 2 Sky Attacks. I have to throw right away. So that all went through my mind within the span of about, you see me stop tapping. I'm like, they're appearing and I instantly click Shadow Ball. And actually look at this. If we slow this down, you'll see me click Sky Attack after the Shadow Ball, like as if I didn't press it, right? If we slow this down, I probably went back a little too far for the slow speed. So all in this time frame right here. Crap. Which side is my move on? I'm going to wait and see. Actually, wait, no. I can't wait and see. Because his Noctowl has already shown it wins CMP. So I have to throw right away. I can't wait and see what side my move is on. I click Shadow Ball, and you see me click on Sky Attack after the Shadow Ball, and there's the look, and there's the look, and now we're gonna see what chat said. I haven't watched this back yet. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I did briefly. And you see the look. You see the look on Jay Mills's face, and at that point, I said, like, dude, he said GG's. He said GG's, and I said, dude, I clicked the wrong move. And then he said, wait, what? And you can hear Kaiser's. I took off my headphones, and you can hear Kaiser celebrating for his teammate. So, very painful. A lot of people having fun with it, laughing. But one thing I wanted to say about it was a lot of respect to Jay Mills, because a lot of people, I feel like in the Pokemon Go community, we have such an awesome community and a lot of really cool people. I think there are times where we have people that struggle with like social empathy and skills, social skills in that regard, where a lot of people like will kind of let their competitiveness show or like get wrecked when it might be tough for somebody. So Jay Mills, his first reaction was like, dude, that really sucks. Like, I'm really sorry about that. Versus I know there's people that I've played in the past where if that happened, they probably would have started like freaking out, like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. So much respect to Jay Mills for being a really good sport about it. And being like, bro, like, I'm sorry, man, that sucks. So yeah, a lot of people saying what a throw. They are indeed correct. A few people thinking BM. I feel like it's pretty obvious based off my reaction that it wasn't a BM. I feel like if you thought it was a BM, you're either just like lying, like you're just trying to like instigate, or you're maybe just not like knowledgeable about me or the game, because like it wasn't a BM attempt, that's for sure. It was a misclick. And if you saw I'll go on Twitter, hopefully nothing crazy pops up, just not in a regional, and this was the attack weighted Noctowl that like I had used more in the past, with Sky Attack on the left side, and this is the new one I had built for the regional, which is a rank 1 Noctowl. So yeah, I guess in the moment, just kind of nerves, whatever you want to call it. Just forgot which side it was on. And through the game. But it's something that I'm sure has happened to a lot of people just in like GBL. It just happened to me on the big stage. And I appreciate some of the people that responded to my tweet. Like even AXN said it happened to him in like a factions match, because like his Ultra League Trev versus Great League Trev are different. So chat is going to have a lot of fun with it. A lot of people are going to laugh out of it. I mean, it is a funny moment, right? For me, it's a tough loss. But like, it is what it is. And honestly, we'll go on to game 2 here, but this was a lot easier for me to take than my Arlington loss, because Arlington, I was up 2-0 against Dune, and I was 1 game away, and I felt like I threw game 3. And my game 3 throw wasn't like as blatantly obvious as this. It was like 3 separate different things where I allowed him to catch a move. I came in with the wrong Pokemon, making a wrong read. I swapped out when I should have stayed in. Like, it was so many misplays all within one game, versus this is just like almost like a freak accident. I don't know if you can even have a sports analogy for it, but it's like you have a wide open layup and you just like slip and turn the ball over. Like, it's like, what are you gonna do? And then Speedy talks about, like, where you put your, You're screaming at your TV, yeah. Maybe red, yeah. Maybe the Ben Simmons play is a good analogy. Sorry. I'm going too far back. Aw, Onodactyl being nice to me in chat. Rob Smith, Rise wouldn't BM. It's not his way. It had to have been a misclick. Rise is literally the sweetest guy ever, and some of y'all could never. So, yeah, I mean, it's fun. Like, I don't know, man. I'm really grateful. Thank you, Sheriff Basha, for the follow. I'm really grateful for, like, a lot of the support I have from you guys in these regionals, and it's pretty cool. And whenever you have, like, support or within, like, our tiny community or big PV... I say tiny because, like, I feel like the PvP community is still kind of tiny compared to, like, the greater Pokemon Go community. But when I'm, like, maybe you could say, like, a more known name in our tiny community, there are going to be people where if they see me make such a crazy misplay, it's going to be fun for them. They're going to have fun with it, and I totally understand that. So it was a tough play, but it was like, I don't know. It's kind of a freak thing that hopefully never happens again. Maybe I will TM in a certain order. I've never really thought about that, to be honest, like putting certain moves on certain sides, like bait on left and nuke on right or vice versa. So maybe I will start to do that, but it's something I've never really thought about, to be honest, until now. All right. Also, by the way, I took like a little bit long to lock in my next team because I just wanted to center myself. So if you're wondering what was going through my mind here after making such a throw, I was like, okay, that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. But it's only game one. And if you somehow come back and can win game 2 and game 3, this would be a pretty funny story to tell. So let's just have a goldfish memory, right? Forget about it. You lost, right? Whether it was a throw or whether you got hard countered or whether you got outplayed, you lost game 1. Let's try and win game 2 and game 3, and maybe we could laugh about it. So that was just kind of the mindset I tried to have. And we get a good lead here. And I actually locked in the same line that Jay Mills locked in for game 1. So he swaps Reggie, and I have to stay in with my Reggie. Nice play by him, going for the Zap Cannon bait. Because not only does he get the debuff, but now, like, he's not going to be threatened as much by my Focus Blast, you know? Well, I guess that's the same thing. So, yeah, nice. Really nice play by him going for the Zap Cannon there. Very smart. Maybe I should have gone for the Zap. My first throw. I go for the Focus Blast here. I don't want to switch lock myself. So, like, I know I'm going to get locked on down there, but I don't want to switch lock myself. You could argue maybe I should have gone in Azu here, because maybe I could have shielded once and bubbled down. I come in with Noctowl. I was hoping I could farm him down in 6. And I didn't want to take the damage, so I do throw my Sky Attack here. I didn't want to take the damage. So at least my counting was on point there. And then I swap, he swaps, and this is interesting. And at this point, I'm thinking like, okay, this game isn't over. Because I know Azu wins this in the zero shield scenario. So I should be able to get some useful damage off against the G-Fisk. I do 2 bubbles here. I could have done 3 actually. I could have done 3, but I kind of lost track. I didn't know if he was 4 away or 5 away, so I just did 2 to be safe. And Jason caught it in the chat. I needed to farm 1 more bubble. I just go for the Ice Beam here for some chip. And at this point, I'm like, I'm just going to stay in and force him to dump a Rock Slide on my Azu. And then we're over farming here. I should still live 2 Rock Slides. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, double Sky Attack, or will that be enough? Or do I go for Shadow Ball? J Mills over farming. I go for the Shadow Ball, hoping I can get Shadow Ball plus Sky Attack. But J Mills is already at double. And I'm 1 away, I believe. And I actually win this game if I double Sky Attack there, because I think double Sky Attack does something like 6% more damage, 7% more damage than 1 Shadow Ball. So you could argue like that game was a throw as well. It just wasn't as obvious of a throw, right? Game 1 was an obvious throw. That game was also kind of a throw because double Sky Attack there would have won versus Shadow Ball. So unfortunate. That was more of a judgment call. And I think game 1 was more so just a kind of a freak thing. Just forgot which side my move was on. Could also attribute it to my first time running Noctowl in a regional. Like it was a new Noctowl, it was a rank 1 Noctowl, and it was my first time running it. But like I also had ran it all weekend, right? Like I ran it in the previous matches of this tournament, so it wasn't like I hadn't seen it before, you know. So I don't know how to explain it, but it is what it is. And like I was saying before, I was feeling a lot better still after this match than I was in Arlington. In Arlington, I was so close. I was up 2-0 against Dune, and I threw game 3. And then in this one, this was top 6. It was game 1, which was the more obvious throw. And I still would have had to beat J Mills. I would have had to beat Frankie, and then I would have had to beat Zaturd Burglar to get to the grand finals. So I was still a few matches away. And what's encouraging is every single match that I've lost over the past 2 tournaments, I feel like has been winnable with perfect play. I've been in Arlington, I lost to Major Bowman, and I got, well, actually, that's a lie. I did get kind of RPS'd by Major Bowman in our first match. But against Dunebug, I would have won game 3 if I played better. And against Bo Sox, I would have potentially won if I came in with the Umbreon against the Noctowl. So that's more just like a judgment call. And then against J Mills, of course, I think that was and I also don't want to discredit Jay Mills by saying like, yeah, I threw the game. Like, I'm just trying to be, I don't know, I'm just trying to be factual, right? Like we can say that I threw the game by throwing the wrong move. So I'm not trying to discredit like, oh, I should have won. Like, he's an insane battler. He's usually beating me in GBL when we play. So yeah, so he's an insane battler. It was deserved. It was just a game that I feel like I should have won right if I played properly. So that's all right. I didn't leave feeling like depressed like I kind of did Arlington. I left feeling like motivated, like we've been consistent, we've been playing well. Chalk it up to a freak misplay that we'll try not to make again. And maybe I'll TM my moves to have a specific order.